Just first off, recapping, the Yukon game. Whenever you go on the road, it's a little bit tougher situation that you'll be in. Hostile crowd. First time going to Yukon. So I think we got a little bit of what we expected. Um, Football team-wise, last week I talked about improvements you normally make from game one to game two. Can't say that was totally the case with us. We're hopefully game 2 to 3 you can really clean some things up then. But at the same time, you never apologize for a win. We found a way. We had opportunities there to put a little bit of distance in between us. After we got behind, I might say. And you want your football team to go through adversity to see exactly who we are. Thought we met that challenge, but we had an opportunity to put a little distance in between us, and we weren't able to do that. Offensively, one of the primary reasons you can't turn the ball over 3 times, and some of the penalties that we had were costly, but we'll clean those things up, especially celebration penalties after a touchdown. Something good happens, and you get in the hole based on that. But we're learning, we're growing. Injury-wise, we had a few players that missed time. Reggie Corbin being one of them with the hip pointer. Hopefully we'll have him back this week. We have some other players that have missed time that are getting closer to returning. So injury-wise, as I said, we hope we're in a little bit better position. After you leave the Yukon game, of course, it's always on to the next week. And we knew, you know what the schedule is, and we knew we were going to have a good Eastern Michigan team coming in here, bowl team, that, of course, upset Big Ten opponents last year. Played Kentucky, strong this past week. So it's kind of where we are. We need to make some improvements in a lot of different areas, all 3 areas. And to finish up the non-conference schedule with the 3-0 record, of course, is exactly where we want to be. Take your question.
Lovie, talking about Eastern Michigan on Saturday, I know it's not good to look ahead, but what would a 3-0 start do going into that first Big Ten game under the lights in 2 weeks?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily looking ahead, though. When if you're talking about the next week, I mean, we want to be 3-0. That's been one of our goals, to go through a non-conference schedule 3-0. So that's why this game is so important. Each week you talk about the importance of that game, and it is. For us now, we're there. And again, we have a worthy opponent. We're excited about coming back home. There's a lot of reasons why we want to get back on the football field. We've been practicing well, though. I mean, our guys know how important it is to eliminate mistakes early on and get yourself in a position to play your best ball. So I know that's what we'll do this week.
Wally Batiku has had a great start, but on the interior, what are you seeing from Woods and Milan, especially? It seems like they've been disrupted.
Wale has been outstanding with his play, and everybody's going to talk a lot about him because of, when you're leading the country in sacks, you should talk about it. But in order for that to happen, there are some other things that has to play out the right way. Our interior play, you mentioned Jamal Woods Jamal Woods is a good football player. He's playing a 3 technique position for us. He's been active. A little bit more athletic ability in there. He's not the biggest guy, but he's quick, and our movement has helped him a little bit too. But Jamal Milan he can be a difference maker in there for what he can do. He can play either tackle positions, but he's just a force with athletic ability. He's had to fight through injuries in the past. He's healthy now. And when those 2 guys are healthy, along with Larry Oladipo and some other players, Deion Pate, we have a group of athletes. Tamir Oliver, of course, is healthy now. So we have some guys that can really get into the rotation.
Coach, you said last week Wale did some good things the first game, but you weren't done getting better. Did you make that jump between the first game and second game, or was it just more of the same?
I think it's more of the same, but I think you could say normal, progress that you want all athletes. We talk about improvements from game one to two. I think that's what we saw from him. I mean, he was close in a lot of areas. He'll talk about some of the other plays he still left out there, but we played him a little bit more maybe than what was it planned right away because he kind of got into a pretty good rhythm. But we asked our guys to, going into UConn, we thought that they would, really hit us with the run a lot more than they did, but it turned into more of a, passing game a little bit there, and he took advantage of that also.
What do you notice from Wally's style of play that's allowed him to just have such a good start to the season so far?
I mean, I think that's the same things I think that we saw when we, brought him in. I mean, he can be a physical guy, playing the run. He's playing our 6 technique position, a guy that's over the tight end most of the time. But we knew that he could play it. But as you just look at his athletic ability, you assume he can rush the passer too. Had a couple of good runs. I mean, good pass rushes, good spin move there. So I'm anxious to see him take another step this week because sky's the limit for him.
What is that another step that you would look at?
More plays, kind of simple as that. He's solid. He's going to play the run. He's going to play hard. He's a coachable guy. Just more plays, As a defense as a whole, I mean, we had 3 takeaways this last game, but and not as many strips as you would like. And as a general rule, way we look at it, you got to the quarterback how many times? 3.5 sacks. You should have a couple of strips in there too. If you get to the quarterback there, that's the next step.
Passing yards, you gave up 275, but 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions so far this year. No big plays. Is that the goal? Is that the design of this?
Oh, I think absolutely that's the goal, not to give up the big plays. And we had some favorable situations Saturday that we didn't capitalize on. That's a lot, just too many passing yards. The takeaways are big. Mike Marquez getting, an interception, his first of the season. Dele Harding, the quarterback of the defense, big interception by him, but we could have done some more. We need to correct a few more things in the passing game. There's too many yards in that.
You have obviously Brandon Peters, but then you see Josh Bebe and Sidney are 2 of your top 3 pass catchers. Wale and Milo have been awesome in defense. Does these success of these transfers kind of change or shape how you might view the transfer portal again after this season?
No, I mean, we had a commitment to the transfer portal, graduate transfers, I should say, before. We thought that's what our program needed. You kind of look at where you are after every season. And we like these athletes. We liked them on the football field. We got to know them. Felt like they could come in and be team players for us. And that's what they've done. But we keep all options open, always. We may lean more on high school athletes this year. And if there's another good athlete out there that for whatever reason it just didn't quite work out for them, we'll look at everyone.
Talk about wanting to improve the pass defense. And it looks like he was pretty pass heavy. Does the challenge go up this week for that?
I think it does, but they passed a lot more this past week against Kentucky. The week before, though, they had more of a run emphasis then. So I think you go into games, you never know for sure what you're going to see. You just assume that a team may come out and just be committed to the run. You need to be sound there and be able to play it. Team gets in a passing situation. Ideal world, I mean, when a team gets in a passing situation, a lot of times they're behind. And, of course, you'd like to be in that position. That was the case this past week against Kentucky. We'll see how it plays out.
You touched on the celebration penalties. What do you like to do to kind of curb that or stop that?
I mean, like everything else, Bob, you don't like, tell them not to do it, I know that's pretty simple approach, but I think as a general rule, you kind of know when you shouldn't do something. And, Rayvon Bonners, I mean, he was, you're on the road, you see, I mean, if you see some orange in that stadium and they're excited, so before you know it, you high-five them. But you had, 10 other teammates that were ready for it to celebrate with you there. So he won't make that mistake again. It's not like we were taunting the opponent. A little bit too much excitement. We'll just take it over to the sideline. There are some things that are hard to correct. This isn't. We don't put this in that category.
You question in the NFL where they can pretty much do anything post touchdown. Would you like the college to kind of maybe go more that direction, be a little more celebratory, or not?
It's been so long since I've been in the NFL. I don't know what their rules are. I just know right now we know what the rules are. You can't celebrate like that. Can't do it. It's kind of simple as that. We'll get it corrected. It won't happen in the future.
Interception, taken back to the house. What did it say about him to step back up in that second quarter, throw those 3 touchdowns, lead another drive that ended the field goal? What'd you
Well,
learn
I
from
mean,
that?
you know, when you're in a game, you make a mistake, you can't get it back. Now so much more football left to go. Things happen early on. Every game you're going to have to fight through some kind of adversity. Simple as that. And I think it was kind of neat for me as a coach, for us as coaches, to see our guys. You know, we were down 13-0 on the road, to have to fight back. Good football teams get behind from time to time, and you kind of see what you made out of it a little bit. We reached down, corrected a lot of those things, and were able to get the win.
For Brandon to complete 10 straight passes to end the first half, when you were looking for a quarterback this offseason, was that maybe that type of sequence like you had in mind, was you need a guy that, if necessary, can throw the ball like that?
So absolutely. You know, we're a spread offense. I run quarterback being able to get yards with his legs. I mean, that's important to us, but eventually it comes down to passing the football. And you know, we talk about I talk about some of the things we did wrong, but and Brandon would be the first guy to would like to have a few plays back. But think about that scramble, you know, for the touchdown. I mean, he did some awful good things too. Do we expect him to give us that type of play? Yes, and he'll give us that and more in the future.
Lovie, what do you think that ability to overcome that adversity? Where does that come from with this team? I mean, maybe not all teams have that ability.
Well, I think if you're a good football team, you're going to have to be able to fight through adversity. Things don't always go your way, but if you prepared for it, if you trained for it, your all-season work, the mental preparation for it, and then just knowing that things are going to come. It's kind of how you handle them as much as anything. And that's what I like. I mean, we're down 13-0. There wasn't any panic. Hey, guys, we made some mistake, but we kept it to a minimum. They had opportunities. You know, defense can let them score touchdowns. They didn't. And offense knew if we did, you know, stop really hurting ourselves, that we could, you know, get some momentum going and move the ball, and we're able to do that.
Let's say announce the time for the Nebraska game. Is there see any difference in a prime time under the lights football?
Yeah, I mean, we don't even talk about that. You know, it's all about Eastern Michigan this week. We got plenty. We play some other Big Ten teams later on too, right? They're all kind of grouped together right now for our team. But do we want to have primetime games in the future? Absolutely. You're playing good football, you get primetime games.
Sidney Brown's back this week, or how's it progressing?
Sidney Brown is progressing, getting better. It's been a while, you know, with the first week of training camp. But there was a serious hamstring injury that he had. He is a lot closer. Of course, with some of the injuries we've had back there in the secondary, we could definitely use a very good football player in Sidney Brown.
Would you consider Tony Adams serious, or?
No, I think whenever you don't finish a game, you know, it's serious. So we'll kind of see how it plays out. We have a little bit of time for Tony. Of course, he's feeling a lot better, but we'll see how that goes.
Obviously, you said with Reggie as a hip pointer, you said you hope to have him play this Saturday. What would you say his status is, and how does he feel after not playing this past weekend?
Questionable. How's that? No, we missed him a lot this week. Good football player, that goes without saying. You know, we broke a few. Reggie may be able to take to the house, but and we need him back this week. Those injuries are, you know, they're tough to predict exactly how long it'll take on some of them, and that's the case with him. We're a lot better football team with him. Hopefully Reggie, Tony Adams, Sidney Brown, those guys that we're talking about will be able to go this week. We'll need everybody this week.
Rayvon touchdown, 28 yards. Richie Pettibon was inside the 5, making that final block. Is that just another sign of a good offensive line?
Yeah, and I should have talked more about our offensive line play. You know, that's the offensive line for you. You know, you do your job each week. Nobody talks about you an awful lot, except when you get a penalty or something. But Richie has been solid for us. That's what we brought him here to do. But the entire offensive line has been. And you like to be a running back. You know, you like to be a quarterback, of course, in the pocket. You know, protection is good. A couple of those, they got a little bit of pressure. We had some other breakdowns from other positions in the protection a little bit, but offensive line has put together 2 solid games. We'll need them to do that this week.
Talk about bouncing back, good teams come face adversity. Is part of that maybe lack of panic that you saw from a veteran team that maybe a younger team wouldn't handle the same way?
I don't know. I just know we, you know, down 13-0. We're young, and each step along the way is something new for us. Down 13-0 on the road, I mean, there's a sense of you know, of picking up tempo, of course. Hurry up, let's go. We need to be able to get this. And that's what I saw from my football team. I think it was as simple as that. And at the same time, you can kind of see there's a reason why we were in that position. You can pinpoint. You know, I would like to have 4th down again, over. Put the team in the hole a little bit right there. So, but again, you cover up for each other a little bit as much as anything.
How important is it to show the ability to come back from a 2-score deficit early in the season? Because likely a situation like that could probably present itself later in the year as well.
I think any adversity you go through early on in the year is good. Situation. There's so many learning experiences you have early in the year. You know, the first game we talked about, we haven't had a chance to do a lot of tackle, a lot of live work. We got a chance to check that off the list a little bit. So when you get in these situations, yes, when you're down, learning experience. You know, we talk about the celebrations. Now, we want to have to go over celebrations. After you score a touchdown, this is what you do. We want to be in that situation, but a lot of these, we haven't been in these situations an awful lot. So you learn. Great meeting today to go over all these things that we're talking about right now, and it should just help us in the future. Thank you.